away from it. In fact, we asked the finance minister this question, that loss-making companies or shell companies also seem to be buying electoral bonds. Like with CSR, it should only be a certain percentage of profits. You can't possibly be buying these bonds if you aren't making any profits or you're a shell company. So those are good points. But I want to go across to Desh Ratan Nigam, because the opposition clearly thinks they've got an issue, because one of the government's big pitches has been that there's no crony capitalism, we are a less corrupt government, or they'll claim that we are not a corrupt government at all, unlike the UPA. Now the opposition thinks they've got something to hit the government at, and they're trying to make this as big an issue as is possible. Could this hurt the government politically in your view, Desh Ratan Nigam?
Well, Rahul, let me tell you, one thing is clear. In this particular list that we have got, there are no Adanis and Ambanis.
No, but where are they? If there are no Ambanis and Adanis here and other companies like those, without just naming two, and obviously they are funding elections in some way or the other, then how are they doing it? That's a big question that Aam Aadmi will ask.
No, but we don't have any information on that. We can't be presuming that they are funding or not.
No, surely you aren't suggesting that they aren't funding, that they don't fund the elections.
I don't want to be, subjected to some defamatory suit by making some comment that they are funding without any data and information.
No, but this is an important question, Desh Ratan Nigam, because the big company, I don't want to name just two, it could be literally any big house, but any of those houses, if their names aren't there, and you've got these little lottery companies, you've got these shell companies, you've got loss-making companies buying these bonds, the Aam Aadmi will wonder what's going on here. How is this creating transparency?
See, the only way of funding under this scheme is through buying bonds, and cash is less than 2,000 rupees. And therefore, we had a system, and we should be discussing about the consequences of this particular judgment. The consequences of this particular judgment is, we have, as I think most of us agree, we have gone to the prior to 2017 stage where the black money will be playing the major role. I'm not naming
No,
parties.
but you aren't answering my question either, Desh Ratan Nigam. Look at some of the companies that have bought these bonds. Some of them are shell companies, some of them are loss-making companies, some of them are from dubious sectors like lottery. Surely that's not okay. I mean, this is no great beacon of transparency if these are the companies that are buying the bonds.
It is not okay, and there should be consequences for them. And the income tax department and the other agencies must take action.
No, but that's where Anjali Bhardwaj is right, that at least these questions can be asked, because those details have been made public. If it wasn't transparent and if we didn't know, we wouldn't know who's buying these bonds.
Let me answer that. When a law is framed, it should be decided at that point of time. How the scheme flew, the clause of secrecy was already there, and under that it was donated, and KYC has already been done. Income tax department and other departments will be well within their rights to take action.
No, but now because these questions are being asked, if these questions weren't being asked, this action wouldn't have been taken.
No, you don't know, because
sir, because earlier this information wasn't public, so how could the income tax department ask these questions? Now the likes of Anjali Bhardwaj can say at least the information is public. Now the income tax department need to ask these questions, and if they don't ask these questions, then we can ask, why is the IT department not asking these questions?
Let me answer that. As a lawyer, let me tell you, audit takes place of the accounting system, balance sheets are filed with the income tax. And under the income tax, you have to disclose donation, not to whom, but those donations will have to be disclosed. And that mismatching is there, then notices can be issued, and probably they may have been issued, we don't know. Not with relation to electoral bond specifically, but the mismatch, from where did you get the money? Those are standard.
No, but Shehzad, this is an important question. The names of the biggest corporate houses are not on the list. Some of the companies that are on the list are lottery companies or shady companies or loss-making companies or shell companies. I mean, everybody will wonder, where are the big corporate guys? Why are they not on the list? Aren't they funding your parties?
Let me please address this, because they are probably using the mechanism of electoral trusts, which were also introduced in 2013, if I'm not mistaken. And that system continues to be there. And by the way, the electoral trust had no capping. So, we can say these things. Please talk to the person who knows some facts. Now, let me make another point, which is very important. Rahul, don't interrupt me for 20 seconds. I just want to ask the Congress spokesperson. She made a statement that this is a system that was basically done so that the central government could legitimize Vasuli. What a great system we have devised, Rahulji, that the BJP with 18 state governments and 303 MPs gets about 7,000-8,000 crores, and those with 242 MPs and few states get 12,000 crores, and per state BJP gets about 500 crores, per MP we get 22 crores, and the Congress party gets 800-900 crores per state, TMC gets 1,300-1,400 crores per state, DMK gets 700 crore per state. इतना बड़ा वसूली मास्टर आपने देखा है राहुल जी कि हमने ऐसा सिस्टम बनाया जिससे per state, if you see pro rata, and Amit Shah ji explained to you that if by the same pro rata rate, if the Congress would have got it, they would have got 15,000 crores.
No, but
same
the fallacy in your argument, and Subhash Garg can build on this, is that the electoral trusts are well known. Which groups have electoral trusts? How much money is paid is already known. That's not secret. And some of these corporate groups, because we just don't know what they did, but some of these corporate groups haven't funded through trusts either.
So
SC Garg, that's the point. Even some of these questions like, why are shell companies buying bonds? Why are loss-making companies buying bonds? These are important questions, and now because this data is public, these questions can be asked. But the only thing is that if these questions are asked, electoral bond to koi nahi kharidega, which means that that effort towards transparency also gets negated. So it's a very, very complex question with no binary answers. It's a lot of grey.
So first thing, I think this is a mistake to believe that the parties, the borrowers could make the donations without disclosing this in their books. So all the electoral bonds were bought through the bank accounts and were declared in their books. So this is not a shell, this is not outside. Now with the details also becoming available, there may be cases where what they have disclosed in the books and what they have donated might be different.
No, but why are loss-making companies buying bonds? You can't answer to your own shareholders you're buying bonds?
No, Rahul, this is also another misconception. Why should a loss-making company be prevented from making political
Sir, अपने shareholder को तो पहले कोई return on investment दो, फिर bond खरीदो. Why are you donating to a political party when you can't run your own company properly?
You are in the business of doing a business. Your competitor who is making profit can do it. And if you may be a loss making, you can't do it. That puts the business into a very unfair. And
only if there is a quid pro quo, only if that bond results in some quid pro quo, would you look at it like this? Otherwise, you would look at it straight as if my business is not making money. Why should I be funding some political party? First, let me make money for my own business.
Anybody who believes that the political donations through electoral bonds or otherwise were given in without any quid pro quo, without any political protection or benefit, I think is living in a world which is not real.
What happens next? Anjali Bhardwaj, I'm out of time very quickly. What do you think happens next in this saga?
I think, Rahul, what should happen next is a probe investigation. I'll tell you why. Because what we are hearing right now from political parties, and we'll hear it endlessly, are allegations and counter allegations. I think as people, as citizens, as voters, the Supreme Court has upheld our right to information. Today, the information is coming out in the public domain. What we need to go by is not just allegations and hearsay. There must be investigation. You yourself mentioned that there are several doubts that are coming up. People are inferring many things. There were companies that were loss-making. Why were they purchasing these electoral bonds? There were companies that were getting big contracts. Why were they purchasing electoral bonds just before or after? And therefore, all of this can only be ascertained.
Shehzad, 10 seconds, I'm out of time completely.
Independent probe into
I have to play Amit Shah's interview, so be very brief.
10 seconds, I understand. I have been all through this debate. I want to ask Anjali, a company loss-making or otherwise giving in white is less transparent than people giving sacks full of bags to Congress party. Is that her claim?
I think you're obfuscating the issue,
Is that her claim?
Shehzad ji. Seedhi si baat hai. It's very
I am not. I am exposing the likes of you.
No, but you're making it seem as if only the Congress is getting money and that your party is run on love and fresh air.
The Congress is only the Congress is the disease. Congress is the disease. Who found 350 crores in the house of that one MP? Whose house was that 350 crores found in? Congress is the disease of corruption. There is no doubt in my mind.
Okay, so I'm out of time on this debate. The fact is that this is a matter in which no one is doodh ka dhula. Let there be no doubt about it. The question is that was it a step in the right direction, that at least a part of it gets cleaned out, or will we now regress for this election at least into complete black money zone where you're arguably worse off? You know, it's a very tricky situation where it remains to be seen where we end up. Clearly, tweaks were required in the manner in which the scheme was structured to make it more effective and for it to serve the purpose that was required. What I want to do now, I want to thank my guests for joining us. You've heard different points of view. New electoral bond data has revealed that MK Stallin's DMK received a significant 509 crore rupees from Future Gaming, owned by lottery king Santiago Martin. Future Gaming is the top buyer of electoral bonds according to data shared by the poll body. It has also emerged that the BJP encashed electoral bonds worth 8,250 crore rupees from 2017 till 2024. As the opposition accuses the BJP of benefiting from poll bonds, top Modi ministers are rejecting the charge.
Details of electoral bonds have opened a Pandora's box, with Tamil Nadu Chief Minister MK Stallin's DMK coming under scanner. The DMK affidavit to the EC, now made public after the Supreme Court verdict, reveals that businessman Santiago Martin was the DMK's largest donor. In total, DMK received rupees 656.5 crore through electoral bonds, of which 77% or 509 crore rupees came from the lottery kings Future Gaming and Hotel Services. The company is the top buyer of electoral bonds according to data shared by the poll body. Out of their purchase of electoral bonds worth rupees 1,368 crore, 37% went to MK Stallin's party. Politics has erupted over the lottery king's fundings, with the BJP claiming that the DMK stands exposed ahead of the crucial Lok Sabha polls.
When the election commission data for DMK was released, then everybody thought, how can you get 90% from one company, that too which is involved in lottery and gaming? Now DMK has to come out, because the same chief minister has gone against one private news magazine in Tamil Nadu for defamation, where he has given it in writing to the court as an affidavit. He never took money from any of the company that is involved in gambling business or gaming business.
The DMK has defended the donations.
They have threatened certain people. They have sent ED and income tax authorities for a raid, and after getting those bonds, they have stopped it. So they have pressurized people to give them money. So we have not pressurized anybody to give money.
Electoral bond is an extortion racket, well planned by the BJP, and they claim everybody else is corrupt. BJP is not just corrupt, they have run an extortion racket. This has never happened in independent India.
Newly published data reveals that the BJP encashed electoral bonds worth 8,250 crore rupees from 2017 till 2024. During the period, the Congress received 1,951 crore rupees. The TMC comes third at 1,716 crore rupees. The BRS got 1,405 and the BJD got 1,019 crore rupees respectively. None of these parties have revealed who their donors are. The opposition has demanded a probe into the fund received by the BJP. The ruling party has rejected charges of corruption.
इलेक्ट्रोल बॉन्ड ये भारतीय राजनीति में से काला धन समाप्त करने के लिए लाया गया। कोई मुझे समझा दे कि इलेक्ट्रोल बॉन्ड आने के पहले किस तरह से चंदा आता था, तो कैश से आता था।
Electoral bonds, monies are going into the accounts, from account to party's account. So कम से कम जो पार्टी तक पहुंचता है पैसा, कोई भी पार्टी क्यों ना हो, वो white पहुंचता है. From a system which was completely imperfect, was brought in, consciously brought in, saying at least one aspect of it will be cleaner.
With the Supreme Court directing the SBI to disclose bond numbers as well, more controversy is likely to erupt once the donors are matched to the beneficiary parties. Bureau Report, India Today.
There was a fiery face-off in the Supreme Court today. Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud told SBI's counsel Harish Salve that the bank cannot be selective in disclosing details. The Chief Justice also hit out at the Supreme Court Bar Association president for interference in the electoral bonds case. The top court has now ordered the SBI to fully disclose bond details by the 21st of March. Here's a blow-by-blow account of what went down in the top court today.
India's election season hits its peak, and so does the issue of electoral fundings. As the SBI's data release begins to uncover political finances by a range of corporate entities, from lottery to infrastructure, mining, telecom and more. The Supreme Court has instructed the bank not to pick and choose which details to disclose. The SBI has been directed to provide all information in full by March 21st, confirming there has been no withholding of information.
That SBI is required to make a complete disclosure of all details in its possession. Full stop. This, we clarify, will include would comprehend the alphanumeric number of and the serial number, if any, of the bonds which were purchased and redeemed. In order to fully effectuate the order and to obviate any controversy in the future, we direct that the Chairman and Managing Director of SBI shall file an affidavit on or before 5 p.m. on Wednesday, date daldo.
Could we have one more day, Thursday?
Yes, certainly. 5 p.m. on Thursday, indicating that SBI has disclosed all details of the electoral bonds which were in its possession and custody, and that no details have been withheld from disclosure.
This order means that the SBI is now obligated to reveal purchase and redemption dates, as well as the names of the buyers and recipients. The denomination, alphanumeric and serial numbers of the bonds must be provided to the ECI, which will then publish them promptly on its website. The bench rejected the central government's claim of misuse of the order on the electoral bond scheme on social media.
We decide according to the Constitution.
Correct, Manu.
We are governed by the rule of law. We are also the subject matter of comment on the social media and the press. But surely, as an institution, our shoulders are broad enough.
No, I'm saying, I'm not for a second.
Our court has an institutional role to play.
During Monday's hearing, when advocate Matthew Nedumpara attempted to intervene, the court reprimanded him for disrupting the legal proceedings.
Don't shout at me.
No, I am very soft.
You are obstructing in the process of administration of justice.
My petition for suo motu that is pending. Whatever Lordship want to do, that do only. I will not disturb Lordship.
The court found that the president of Supreme Court Bar Association engaging in publicity-driven tactics when attempting to intervene.
Apart from being a senior counsel, you are the president of the SCBA.
Yeah.
You know the procedure. You have written a letter to me asking me to invoke my suo motu jurisdiction.
Yes, my lord.
No locus to mention
so
anything.
That I should not disturb Lordship. We should not waste it honorable time, court's time. That's why.
Lord, these are all publicity-oriented stunts. We will not permit it.
Whatever Lordship feel better.
Mr. Agarwala, please keep it at that. I may have to say something more, which will be perhaps a little distasteful.
A heated hearing in the electoral bonds case.
After Supreme Court's clear and stern directions today, the State Bank of India will now have to disclose all information available with it regarding the electoral bonds, including the alphanumeric bond numbers. The Election Commission of India will then have to forthwith upload that data on its website. The SBI chairman will also have to file an affidavit before Supreme Court by March 21st, stating that no available information has been withheld. With camera person Sanjay Kumar from New Delhi, this is Shrishti Ojha, India Today.
Chief Justice Chandrachud को गुस्सा क्यों आता है? And more importantly, will the Supreme Court's order on electoral bonds take Indian elections in the right direction, or will conversely, like Home Minister Amit Shah and Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said during the India Today conclave, will it lead to a regression where there's a return to black money? At least some element of election financing was being diverted through white channels. Now it all comes back to black potentially. At least that's what the government thinks. So are we heading in the right direction, or could we be regressing? To talk about this, I'm joined on this broadcast by Shehzad Poonawalla, national spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Mahima Singh represents the Congress today. We've got Subhash Chandra Garg, former secretary in the finance ministry, and has been involved in conceiving the whole scheme of electoral bonds and understands the intricacies. Anjali Bhardwaj is a well-known social activist. She's in fact been fighting against electoral bonds, thinking that things are actually far worse. And for a legal perspective, I have Desh Ratan Nigam, advocate in the Supreme Court. I want to go across to Anjali Bhardwaj first on why what happened in the Supreme Court today is important in your view, because the Supreme Court said that now alphanumeric details will have to be made public by the State Bank of India. Why do you think this is a significant step in the right direction? And more importantly, on that larger question that I posed at the start of the debate, why do you think the Supreme Court's order actually takes Indian election financing in the right direction? Because the Home Minister argued, the Finance Minister said that this actually takes us from partly white to black again. Anjali Bhardwaj.
Yes. So Rahul, since you asked your question in two parts, let me also answer in two parts. The first thing, let me say that today's hearing was very significant in the order that has come, because the Supreme Court in its judgment of 15th February made it very clear that it wanted information, two sets of information from the SBI to be given to the Election Commission of India, which they had to put on the website. One was purchaser details. Who purchased the bonds, what denomination, on what date, and they said all details about these bonds. They also asked for all details to be provided about those who redeemed the bonds, the political party's name, the date and denomination, and the SBI was given a time frame, a clear time frame to do that. The SBI came back saying we can't do any matching. They said we didn't ask you to do matching. Now, when the SBI gave the data and it was put in the public domain, the Supreme Court has taken very strong objection to the fact that the SBI does not seem to have come clean in terms of putting out all the data that they had on the purchaser and the redeemer.
Now, why are these alphanumeric details important? What will they reveal which we don't already know in your view?
The reason why these are important is that once you and I know the alphanumeric, the unique numbers that are there on each electoral bond, and they are given for each bond purchased along with the name of the purchaser, and for each bond redeemed along with the name of the redeeming political party, we will be able to see who has given the money to whom. Now,
so you're saying everyone then can do their own matching? All rights activists, data journalists can do their own matching?
In this kind of a scenario where we don't have that, it's up to anybody to claim anything and imagine who is being given the money. This will really clear the air in terms of who has funded which political party.
No, but let's come to the second part. Now let's come to the second part.
Yes.
The Home Minister says, so this is a partial step, at least a part of the financing was happening in white. What will happen now? A lot of it, which was heading towards white, which is all in bank account legal channels, goes back to black. So how are we better off, Anjali Bhardwaj?
Yes, in fact, I saw your interview as well, Rahul, with the Home Minister. And I think we need to recognize, I have read the judgment very carefully. The Supreme Court has dealt with this question squarely. The court has looked at how, because the government council, when they came to court, this was one of their biggest contentions, that we have tried to clean up the system by taking away from black money, cash, and we've moved towards this system which is better, and therefore electoral bonds should not be declared unconstitutional. What the Supreme Court said are two things. One, the Supreme Court asked the government council that have you stopped the transactions in cash totally or not? And the answer was no, which meant that along with electoral bonds, cash could also be taken. The second thing, which I think is very important for your viewers to understand, is that we have a situation where in the electoral bond scheme, the trading of electoral bonds was prohibited, but there were no safeguards to stop trading of electoral bonds. What does that mean? I have some money in my bank. I can go and buy a bond. Nothing prohibits me, stops me. There is no safeguard to sell it to someone else for a consideration and take cash from them. So what has happened is that this has enabled black money to prosper in the country.
No, but you don't know that. You're making this charge. It may have happened in some cases, whether it happened in one odd case or in multiple cases. We don't know that. So in that sense, that's a allegation which you don't have evidence for.
Yeah. So let me finish, Rahul. This was something that the RBI, the then RBI governor, Urjit Patel, also wrote in a very clear communication repeatedly to the finance ministry warning of this. So when we are examining a scheme and what it can do, we have to look at the harm that is possible.
No, but you're not explaining how are we better off. Okay, so there are some harms and pitfalls. You still aren't being able to explain, Anjali Bhardwaj, how we are better off.
The Supreme Court basically has weighed things, applied the proportionality test, and has clearly said that whatever little gains might have been made or could potentially be made to bring things to the banking channel are all overweighed by the harm it does to our right to know as citizens. And that is why the scheme and the electoral bonds were declared unconstitutional.
Okay, Shehzad Poonawalla. Now, Harish Salve is one of our top advocates. He's coming across looking very silly in the Supreme Court, getting constant whiplashings from the Chief Justice. That doesn't do his legal stature any good. And that's also because he's arguing a weak case. Constantly he's being pulled up. The SBI seems to be hiding information, presumably at the behest of people who don't want this information to be made public. And the government's just cutting a very sorry figure. And SBI and the SBI chairperson most certainly are cutting a very sorry figure, because it seems as if they're trying to hide information. Why be so cagey? Once the Supreme Court has given an order, isn't it incumbent on the government and the State Bank of India to go out and comply with the order? It almost seems as if they're trying to find some comma, full stop, some colon to try and ensure that information is not made public, and the Supreme Court is having to constantly goad them. It makes Harish Salve, it makes the SBI, it makes the government come across as trying to hide something.
I'm not an image consultant for Harish Salve, and I'm certainly not here to answer on behalf of the counsel for the SBI. So let me put on some facts that need to be put on the table, and I hope you'll be half as charitable as you were to Anjali ji. First of all, Anjali ji should know that little knowledge is dangerous. She has just spoken about the alphanumeric codes. Let me start by that and tell you how uninformed this debate is. You have another esteemed panelist called S.C. Garg on this panel. S.C. Garg has written a detailed article, and you can confirm from him, that the alphanumeric codes are actually not a code meant to match the bond to the donor. They only have a security feature. That means that if Rahul Kanwal's company wants to buy a bond, they are not passing off a fake bond, and therefore that was the only use. In fact, the law as it stands today does not mandate SBI, and Mr. Garg will clarify to you, to keep a record of matching the alphanumeric codes to the purchaser of the bond, the donor, and therefore this argument, let me give you another example, hypocrisy argument of theirs. In 2018, I think it was the Indian Express, but I can be subjected to correction. They had published an article saying that the government was trying to keep a track of these bonds by inserting the alphanumeric codes. Today they have done a complete 360 degrees saying that the same alphanumeric codes which they opposed in 2018 should be the ones that should be used to
so
track
hold that thought, Shehzad, for a moment, because S.C. Garg is live on the show. I'm coming back to Shehzad in just a moment. But let S.C. Garg respond to that. Try and unravel, because you were involved in the formulation, the mystery of the alphanumeric codes. Once these alphanumeric codes are made public, can I match who bought the bond, even if the government and the SBI didn't do it? Can a data journalist or a rights activist or a RTA activist do this? Match with who that bond got to? Is it the same alphanumeric code on both sides?
So, Rahul, this depends upon the fact that the alphanumeric code, which was a security feature, not an identification number, which was not supposed to be noted anywhere, if SBI by any chance has noted this against the purchase and against the deposit, only in that case the alphanumeric code, which can be easily supplied by the SBI to the Supreme Court now or to the Election Commission, because you can read the alphanumeric code on each bond by reading that and compiling that list, or you can have the list from the government press.
So you're answering in ifs and buts. If I ask you to be less calibrated because you're involved, logically speaking and from what we know in the public domain, is it likely that it will be the same alphanumeric code on both sides, or will the purchaser have a particular code and the bond then make some changes to the numeric when it is given to a political party?
So Rahul, I'm saying very clearly, if it was noted against the purchase and the deposit, only then you can match. Otherwise, what do you match? So I don't think SBI noted it. If they did it, it was unlawful. And therefore, in my judgment, the matching on the alphanumeric code, if supplied by the
So what makes you then, Anjali Bhardwaj, so confident that it will be the same on both sides? Because one way of doing it is as the same code, the other is when it is deposited, it could be a different code. It needn't necessarily be the same code. Anjali Bhardwaj.
Yes. Rahul, what came out very clearly
Rahul,
today
you have been unfair to me.
I'm coming back to you. Shehzad Bhai, I'm coming back to you. I'm just also trying to shape this debate. Give me some time. I promise to be fair. Yes, Anjali.
Please give me adequate time. You are giving us so much time.
Anjali
But
Bhardwaj.
you're not giving me any time.
Yes. I think what the court has made clear repeatedly is that there is, and in fact that is something the SBI has agreed, that there is an audit trail, which means that it should be possible to match. The SBI has never disagreed that it's not possible to match these two sides and get who is funding whom. Today, the SBI has said that alphanumeric number, any other serial number that has been assigned, all the data should